Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the most exciting stage show you've ever witnessed.
Look, there's three of us here, and then there were three. Welcome, everybody. It is once again time for the Professionals, the rotating show.
Guys, I'm in LA at the riots. Don't mind the gunfire. It's a little crazy here right now.
Oh my gosh!
I want to try and make it through the show.
That was weak. That gunfire was weak.
Sounded like a little toy gun.
It sounded better, coming out of the phone.
Oh,
okay. Well, Anyway, let me finish my spiel, Andy. Thanks. When you're gonna interrupt me, at least make it good.
I tried. It was last minute. I literally thought of it while the thing was playing. I'm like, wait, I gotta find some gunfire.
Anyway, this is the Professionals rotating show where we each take turns hosting and talking about various things that have to do with the comic book industry from our past and perhaps maybe even things that are happening in the future. We're a little short tonight because Art Taber is apparently eating dinner, but we're expecting him at some point. Billy Tucci's getting another Civics Award, so we don't know if he's going to be here at all.
More lettuce.
That's true, but we are talking about comic books, so really, what could Billy offer anyway to the conversation?
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Anyway, hey,
talking about X-Men, then he knows all that shit all of a sudden.
I know.
And I'm like, what are you
is.
talking about? Who is that character? And he's like, oh, well, she appeared in blah, blah, blah.
He's got an encyclopedia of the Green Lantern. He's got a manual.
But he doesn't read comics.
Yeah.
Right. He knows more about Green Lantern than most human beings.
Yeah, it's very, very
Ace of the
strange.
earth.
He's a strange cat. Welcome, Art. It looks like you combed your hair. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, just had dinner. I'm running a little late. I've been doing live streams where I'm drawing and working on pages, so I had the camera set up, and it always takes me a while, technology, so I had to recalibrate everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, today we're going to be talking about splash pages, and how it's going to work is I'm going to bring up various splash pages, and then we'll just get you guys' opinions on them. Were they successful? Were they not? What was the purpose of this particular splash page? Did they do it effectively? All that kind of fun stuff. But first we have to take a moment and take a look at this today history in comics or something like that. The history today's hit
this week, in comic
this week in comic book history. That's what I used to have a little intro here. Did I get rid of that? I must have that really bad.
Everyone's got too much on his brain right now.
I guess so. The fire burning behind Andy is really distracting me.
It's hot. I'm in LA, Art. I took a little trip today.
You got your Mexican flag?
Well, I had it, and then a looter took it from me.
Was he Mexican or white?
No, he was Mexican. He said, "Hey, gringo, you don't deserve that."
And he was a white liberal woman took it from him.
Yeah, exactly.
with purple hair.
Now, how about this?
Ooh.
This week in comics, and this didn't happen in LA. It was in New York, actually, where this was produced, I believe. The first appearance of Deathbird. This was Ms. Marvel #9. And she did become like a prominent X-Men character, didn't she?
She did, yes.
I know I've worked on books where she has made an appearance. Yes.
Yeah, but you didn't get to work on that simple costume.
No, it wasn't this costume.
Whoa, wait a minute. Did they get rid of her? They got rid of Ms. Marvel's midriff here. But
yeah, she started with the midriff,
Right.
then went to this, and then went to the black costume.
You know
Carol
what?
Danvers
She went to the Farrah Fawcett hairdo, and the thing is, no one could really draw it well. That just looks really horrible.
There's a lot of horribleness in this.
It is in the 70s.
I mean, the death. First off, call me Deathbird. Okay, you're Deathbird. And that costume is horrible. It's the colors. I mean, it's like they had extra Martin dyes or something, and we'll throw purple in here.
Well,
Well,
Marvel needed their Hawk Woman, so this is the best they could come up with.
Well, wait a minute. And she invokes MODOK's name. She says, and in MODOK's name, tonight, Ms. Marvel dies. So she's apparently working for MODOK.
Also, it's not very convincing
Part
that
of
she's
the
kicking her.
Shi'ar Empire.
She
What'd
likes
you
the
say?
big
What'd you
head.
say, Andy?
I said I
Andy
thought
Furstenberg.
Deathbird. I thought Deathbird was part of that Shi'ar Empire. You know, where Gladiator is it? Gladiator with the mohawk is.
Oh
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Gladiator. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was part of that. That's
have
the
no
sense I got from the
idea.
Jim Lee stuff. So,
Oh, okay. Well, that's revisionist history, though. Art, what were you saying?
Yeah, but when Jim Lee drew her, she was hot. I was saying this is a really awkward kick, and it doesn't even look like she's actually kicking her. It looks like more like she's flying up from behind her. But if you didn't see that impact, you would have no idea she was kicking her.
Well, she's kicking her right in the booties, I think.
Right in the butt. Yeah.
if you didn't have that impact, you'd realize her feet and legs really aren't in the right place for kicking her. So you got to
No.
throw that impact in
She's-
there to
she's
disguise
about-
that fact.
She's about 3 feet away from actually making contact with her butt.
Yeah.
And then she's getting headbutted in the boobs here in the next panel.
I know.
This is all sexual. The kids love it.
I know this is some wild stuff that we were missing out on, not picking up Ms. Marvel #9 off the stands. I stopped
never
with this
bought any
before.
teen books or chick books.
I think I told you guys this morning in our meeting that I picked this up only because Big John drew the first couple issues. And I think the Scorpion was in like the second issue or something. So I was like, ooh, Spider-Man Dylan.
He was.
Who drew this image here?
I don't know.
I think it's
Who is
Jim
that?
Mooney.
Yeah, I would
Mark,
be
it says
surprised.
Jim Mooney and Joe Sennett.
Okay, there you go.
'Cause it's also weird, like her hand is definitely moving forward, but her arm, Miss Marvel's arm, looks like it's more in a profile shot. It's like there's some deep space stuff that's not happening here. It's not
There's some
convincing.
funky hands going on too, you know.
Well, I think Jim probably should have stayed as an anchor, huh?
No, Jim Mooney was
No,
actually
Jim
a
did good.
good penciler.
Yeah,
Well,
back in he did
not
Lois,
here.
Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, I believe.
Yeah,
Mm.
he did Supergirl for years.
Yeah, I was to say he did Supergirl for years. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should bring up Lois Lane because there's one other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm as you guys know, I am a comic collector. You know, I'm into the business of collecting comics.
No.
I know.
He's a
Yeah,
wrestler.
but you collect low grade shit.
You got one of those poor man collections.
Yeah,
So wait a minute.
dollar pins.
I watch videos, you know, of the top 10 sales and books that are hot this week and all that kind of stuff. And this one came up at number 10 this week. And I think we should take a serious look at this. Here's your number 10 hot book of the week, Fat
Oh.
Superman.
Super fatso.
Yeah, well, now
They're
get a load
body
of this.
shaming Superman. Is that what it's come down to?
Well, okay, but here's the thing.
Wouldn't you look
This-
at him?
A CGC 9.8 graded copy of this book sold for $1,600. Can you believe that?
Wow.
You said
So
9.8.
What I'm yeah, 9.8. So and I do have a copy of this, not 9.8 though.
That's a beautiful Kurt Swan drawing, though.
I
It
was going
actually
to say,
is.
this is beautifully executed, man. This artwork, for what it is, even if this wasn't a fatso Superman, This would be great. That
What is
that
that,
telephone booth
221?
falling apart like that, and the glass,
Yeah.
and it's so good.
Swan was really good at drawing girls too. He doesn't get a lot of credit for it, but look at those legs. He always had those short skirts on him.
I was going to say, look at that skirt length.
Yeah. Swan was really, really good.
But Superman doesn't have time to worry about that because he's now become a super fatso, and that's much more concerning than the hot chick behind him. Now, I think we've discussed this before, but you just brought up Lois Lane. But there's two other iconic fat covers that I need to get to complete my DC fat collection. One of them is Fat Flash.
By the way, I do have that issue as well.
And then Fat Lois. So
I haven't seen those.
Oh, Fat Lois is
Oh, Fat Lois.
And I haven't seen Fat Flash. Is that that's got to be
You
Silver
gotta
Age?
pull it up,
Flash.
Aaron. You can't just.
I know you can't
Oh my
tease
God.
it.
okay. All right. Fat Flash was, I believe, it was really early on. It was like issue. Here it is. It was like issue 115, and Flash, the Silver Age Flash, started at 105, didn't it?
105, yeah.
Okay, here we go. So I do have, like I said, I have that Fat Superman issue, but now I've got to get this one. This is Fat Flash.
Oh shit! I've never seen that.
Oh, that's great. Look at a Carmine Infantino drawing.
Oh man.
Oh, that is so good.
I like how he goes from svelte to obese to super obese. It's like, no, it's not like he's got a little love handles. He just got chubby.
Oh
What's
yeah.
happening?
Second piece.
I wonder, did Carmine draw the inside of that? Do you know?
I would think so. At that,
I would
number.
bet, yeah, 115.
You know what's hilarious? I always want to be the fly on the wall when DC was having the meeting and they're like, what sells? What do the kids really want? What are the kids looking for?
What do they want?
Sell some books, excite some fans. I don't know. Fat people are all the rage right now. Let's put a bunch of fat characters on
Fat
our
people
cover.
are all the rage.
Wasn't it Julie Schwartz who said gorillas and purple?
Yep.
Dude, I was about to mention the gorilla thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it
You
was
know, I never wanted to be the head, like the editor-in-chief of a comic company. The only time I ever would want to is to come up with like really stupid ideas, like the purple and the gorilla, or like fat characters on the cover. Like, I could just go, you know what? My claim to fame is fat characters on the cover.
You know what? During this era,
That's what I'm known.
they would tell the artists to do these crazy covers, and then they would write the stories based on the cover.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Versus the cover being reflective of the story. Like the artist would just go crazy and come up with some crazy idea, and then they would write the stories about the cover.
Yep.
Can you imagine getting this turned in and you're the writer going, come on, really?
I got to write a fat story now.
I got to write a fat story. Okay, well, not to be outdone. So we have Fat Superman and Fat Flash. Now let's take a look at Fat Lois. Now, if there's any other, like if Marcus Killigrew, if you know of any other fat DC comic covers, let me know because I have to collect them all. Here you go.
Oh, that's nothing compared to the Flash.
No, but yeah, she might actually think the Flash is, kind of sexy.
But Lois let herself go. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
she did. What I'd give to be the slim Lois Lane I used to be, like this reflection in the trick mirror. If
Yeah.
Superman ever saw me now, I'd die. And what? Superman's right there.
Dude, read the caption. Read the blurb above Superman's head. You could never get away with that now.
Lois Lane, and this is written for girls too.
Yeah, fattest girl in Metropolis.
And I like how Superman's got a creep behind this thing instead of using his X-ray vision.
Yeah.
Like he could be a mile in the sky and looking like, whoa,
What
Hey.
happened to Lois?
that is not a size 2 anymore.
Yeah,
like
you don't
how
even need X-ray vision from that high up. You just look down and go, "Damn, that's a fat bitch."
Like,
Superman's just stalking Lois Lane. Like
Yeah.
he didn't know she was fat already. Like all of a sudden, this was the
Yeah.
revelation. Like,
it's like he
my
heard a
God.
rumor.
yeah, like all of a sudden
Jimmy-
she gained like
Jimmy
300 pounds.
buzzed him on his watch, on his signal watch, and said, "Hey, have you seen Lois?" And he's like,
What I would love to see is like his eyes be like bigger and his mouth agape, like holy crap.
Yeah.
Right?
"Well, how about the one where Lois turns black?"
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Color Me Black, it's called, right?
Yeah,
You know what?
that's
We-
one I'm surprised you don't. I'd rather have that than this one.
Before
Yeah,
we move on, is there a chance that maybe Superman is more turned on by maybe he's a chubby chaser?
Yeah, he's
Maybe
a
he
could be
likes a whole
chubby
lot of
chaser,
love.
yeah.
Hey, by the way, Aaron, Marcus says Justice League of America #7 is a fat cover. I assume he means the original Justice League Silver Age stuff.
Not the PH fat.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
This whole show has just changed.
I love it. Waddle West.
Yeah.
Waddle West,
Lord.
the fattest man alive.
He's not the fastest man alive. He's the fattest man alive. Oh, this one. Oh, I've seen this one. I forgot about this. This is probably too expensive though for me because this is like he said, this is Justice League.
Yeah, it's number 7.
7. So this is like really old, but there you go.
Oh, and they make Wonder Woman the chunky one.
Yeah, it's like she's the only one who's like super fat. The other ones are just
I mean, the
Yeah,
Flash
but
has
the mirror isn't really distorting them. They're already distorted.
yeah.
I'm the Cosmic Funhouse.
Oh, Superboy number 24 is another fat cover.
Oh my gosh.
Marcus is looking them up.
Oh,
And by the way,
God.
Carmine and Joe Giella on the Flash 115.
did he say Superboy 20 what?
24.
Okay.
Superboy 24. And John Buscema drew Miss Marvel 1, 2, and 3. So we'll have to split it because I thought he only did 1 and 2, and you thought he did 1 through 4. So
Well, now here's this is problematic. This is the splash page, but he's not fat on the cover. Why isn't he fat on the cover? He's just like putting
they want to
glasses
save it
on.
for the interior.
Okay, hang on a second. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong cover. Okay.
I got one.
All right, hang on a second here.
There's
This is what
got to be an Archie comics where somebody's fat.
Archie's fat head.
see. This is the splash page of that Superboy. Look, the whole team's fat.
Everybody's fat.
Yeah.
The
Well, you know
super
what?
fat-
When Wayne Boring drew Superman, he was fat. He had like a size 44 waist.
Yeah, baby.
And those
You know,
skinny little legs.
I liked Wayne's Superman.
I
Yeah,
like
I did too.
Superman too, but you know, I mean, there's some times where he's got this gigantic waist and those
Yep.
skinny little knock-kneed legs.
Yep.
Yeah. He was
All right,
stocked.
what has Graham got here? Oh,
Don't exert yourself too much, Superboy. Remember, you're a little overweight.
A little chubby.
Look at how brilliant that car is drawn, though.
oh,
Yeah.
the super fat boy of steel. Oh my.
Oh yeah, Adventure. Hold on, I got one because
Okay.
I searched one that Marcus
This guy
found.
was a great cover artist, Win Mortimer.
Yes.
Yes, he did a lot of great covers in the 50s for DC.
You know what, you guys? The Bros is the best show on the internet. Who else is going to give you this kind of entertainment?
Hey, Aaron, you would know this. Didn't Win Mortimer draw Night Nurse? And I'm not joking, didn't he or no?
I believe
He
that is
was
correct.
working for Marvel at one point
I believe that is correct. Yes.
because he drew the Spidey Super Stories.
Yeah. All right, you can share my screen. I got another one.
Okay. All right, hang on a second here.
Man, they're just all over Superboy.
Hang on a second. Why is this not leaving? Okay. Oh, there. Okay. Duh. All right. There we go.
Fat Superboy. And he can carry that tub of lard that's in the phone booth too. I mean, oh, it's Lana. It's affecting everybody.
Oh my gosh. Everybody's fat. I don't dare let Lana know that I've also become fat.
Then she won't like me anymore. Oh my God, Jimmy Olsen 49.
Yeah. Hey,
Wow.
share mine now. Wait till you read the word balloon on this one.
All right. Here we go. But you're quite a look. Superman.
But you're quite a load.
The girl I most often fly with is slender Lois Lane.
Like the guy can move planets, but now he's bitching that the girls do it.
Well, read her word balloon. I am Lois
Lane.
Lane, or I was 100 pounds ago. Superman must never find out It's me, or I'll have a fat chance of winning his love.
Look at the sweat beads on him.
Oh,
The guy's more powerful than a locomotive, but man, she is really heavy.
And this is back before Byrne depowered him, when he could do like all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I busted a hernia.
He's even puffing like the girl I most often fly with is slender Lois Lane.
Yeah, like you can't use his X-ray vision to look through the brim of that hat.
Boy, Superman knows how to sweet talk the ladies. You're quite a load. I think fat chicks is his kryptonite.
Oh my gosh, maybe.
He can't pick them up.
The next panel is this long shot of them crashing to the earth because he can't hold her up.
I'm losing it.
Lois, you're my kryptonite.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I got one. Let me present this. This is actually comics trying to market fat.
Oh, I know it.
Oh,
I knew it.
Oh,
you guys remember this?
Yes.
Oh God, yes.
Look at that last cover. Like, she's so happy. She's so happy.
The first cover is the best because here's this, as Superman would say, a load, and the wires aren't even bending.
Yeah.
No. They're very tall.
I mean, they're bending as if the birds are on it, but she's sitting on it. She's got to be a good 250.
At least.
Daredevil can run on those things and they bend, but not Faith. That's her superpower.
No, it's a superpower. She just looks fat. She's actually quite svelte.
Yeah,
that's right.
Light as air. She's like a sponge, a really large sponge, but still like really airy.
This one's my favorite because even her hands are fat, like her knuckles.
Yeah.
Did you when this came out, did you guys ever say who is their audience? Who do they think is their audience for this book?
Wow.
No dudes are buying this, and most women in comics are probably not buying it. So I'm just like, I don't know. This was like the best example of just woke ideology for no other reason than woke ideology.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it had Hillary. Remember, Hillary was with the cover.
Yeah. It's always fun, like when they virtue signal just keyboard warriors, but when they actually commit money and time and artist energy, I gotta applaud it on some level. You know what I mean? Like, at least you're committing to it. It's like you're putting some kind of energy out.
They're all in.
Yeah, they're all in on this one.
It's misguided. It's misguided, but
All right, let's get off this fat fetish and get into some serious splash pages.
How dare you? I did do the quick Google of fat superheroes. Here's a bunch.
Yeah.
See, my fat DC collection has just grown exponentially. I have to get more than 2 books now.
Everybody watching right now are Googling. They're going to buy all these books and put them in their collection.
Ooh, fat superheroes.
That's right. It's a new thing. Okay, so the first 2 splash pages I'm going to show. We'll show them one at a time, obviously, but the book ends to a pretty famous story arc, and the splash pages were used for different purposes. And that's one of the things I want to explore a little bit is we think, well, the splash page is supposed to be to sell the book, and that is true to a certain extent, but there's other reasons that you would use them. And so let's take a look at this first one.
Wait, how does a splash page sell a book? Because
when you open it up, like
it's supposed to be the first page of the book. So you pick it up.
Okay,
you're like,
okay. I was thinking of internal splash pages. I'm sorry. Yep,
I am. But I mean, if you pick up the book and you just open it,
and Yep.
Okay, so this is from Avengers 57, first appearance of the Vision. Now, this is a little bit of storytelling going on here, but there's a lot of ways John Buscema could have gone here. I really like what he did here for a variety of reasons, but I want to throw it out to you guys before I chime in on what my thoughts are and get your guys' thoughts on this particular splash page. And what do you think, John?
Well, I'll go out on a limb and say I don't consider it a splash page because
I'm with Andy.
Above it.
I agree.
I can't call that a splash page. And that's just going by How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way when they show that Jack Kirby FF and they explain what a splash page is. But yeah, I don't think it's a splash. And I would have rather have seen those 3 panels start the book this way, but do them taking up the whole height of the page and then turn and see that as a splash page. Because I mean, as soon as you open this book up, I remember getting a reprint of it, trade paperback, whatever. You go to it, you barely even notice those top 3 panels. It's just like, boom, because your eye goes to that. At least for me, my eye went right to that green.
Well, coloring it monochromatically pushes your eye back too.
Yeah. So
I just think it's not interesting storytelling. Like the character can fly. Like for me, if I was going to use those 3 panels, I'd have them flying through the city. Like you see reflections of them off the glass, like if it's supposed to be introspective and like deep, like get like setups throughout the city that reflect more of those things and also are more interesting visually. And then like Andy says, then show the splash, like the splash moment, either that or just get rid of those 3 panels and just have the splash start the issue. Just have the dynamic.
The top panels do nothing. He's walking toward, he gets closer still. You could put all that dialogue in and just take the image of the Vision flying and put all that dialogue in as well. I mean, I'd cut it if I was the editor, but Roy liked a lot of words. So,
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Just make that image with all the dialogue, the splash page.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
don't
would
think
agree.
you need all the dialogue, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you could edit it down, but it's only like four beats, and like the way I guess it was like Frank Miller would do it, where you would have kind of the narratives kind of floating around the thing, and sometimes it works visually. It's less clunky because it is a lot, but it's not overly. So if you didn't want to edit it down, you could.
It's also like you said, Art. I love John Buscema, but those 3 panels, what he looks like. It doesn't matter if they're monochromatic. The only thing I don't know is the color of his costume, but I can see it.
Yeah.
Also, the character
it's blocked off by dialogue that is repetitive to the imagery. Rain falls on the parched city. Okay, we see the rain. We don't need to be told the rain is falling. This is a visual medium. Show it, don't tell it.
Right.
There's the other aspect that Eisner talks about is that when dialogue enhances the visuals, like when he says he stalks alone the concrete canyons, heedless of the torrential downpour. Okay, that enhances the illustration there. But really, that first thing is worthless. And really, you could distill all of that down into a much more powerful image and piece of dialogue.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you guys, because I think on the first 3 panels, he's showing us the Vision, and it's like, if you're going to do it this way, why wouldn't he be in shadow the whole way until then we get revealed, but instead we're seeing him, and then we're getting a big shot of him, which we've already seen. So the reveal doesn't work like it should.
What would be cool if you're going to keep this is do the pullback shot. If you're going to keep this, I don't like it the way it is. I don't agree with it. But if you keep the first shot and then go really in close in like shadows on the face, like you still don't really see them. And then the last panel where you just see feet lifting off the ground.
Oh yeah.
And then you see this, because then there's some kind of reveal. It's like, and then you can actually write to that, like, get off this mortal coil or whatever. And then he takes flight, and then it's like, behold the Vision. Like, you didn't know he could do this. He just seemed like a sad sack walking the streets. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this guy can fly.
This is the first time we ever see him, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So as Art said, you could close up on the feet as he's walking and then lifting up and getting higher and then rising up. And then you cut to that and do it as insert panels. you know, not cutting it off across,
So it still looks like a splash. Yeah.
Now, however, what I do like about this is I do like the figure drawing, obviously, of the Vision, but it's not necessarily a super dynamic shot. But what it is that's why I picked this one, because it's a reveal the first time we see this character. So rather than have him like coming right at us where you can't see his entire costume, we're getting more of a side angle shot where we can see the entire character. Plus, it's super well drawn, the figure work. But I don't mind the fact that it's not as dynamic. It's more, I don't want to use the word elegant. If Billy was here, I would use elegant.
Well,
but since Billy's not here.
But I say, I agree with you. But the reason I think John might have went with this shot instead of something more dramatic, even if he kept the same angle, but did something not as, because the figure has a nice rhythm and flow to it, right?
Yes.
And he could have kept this angle and made it more powerful. But to me, without knowing anything about the character and reading it, you kind of get a sense for the character because of the elegance and the rhythm through the pose. Because the Vision is supposed to be kind of thoughtful, and,
right?
And even though he's an android, he's emotional and stuff, and you kind of get that sense through the pose.
He sort of glides. He doesn't. You never see him like streaking through the sky like Superman. Right. He sort of like has this elegant, glide, which they convey here. But you know what? I just want to toss out. I'm beginning to think that those first 3 panels were additions, because that second panel does not look like it was drawn by John Buscema.
Yeah, it does look a little strange.
The shadowing on the face is completely wrong. With that line straight across, it doesn't describe the cheekbones. The shoulders, the rendering on that shoulder, both shoulder sides.
Well, just the size of the head.
The size of the head, everything. He looks like he weighs, like 30 pounds less in that picture.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's interesting. It's possible that, somebody overthought this. Like we're introducing a character. We just can't open with the splash page of a character we haven't seen anymore. We need a little bit of setup or whatever. I don't know. Because the actual splash panel itself is like, I love it. It's like one of my favorite pieces, but it's sort of diminished by the 3 panels up at the top. So, but I think they probably did it editorially for what they thought would be clarity, but I don't know that it necessarily helped. So
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, because that was all the Marvel style back then. So you wonder if John got it and was like, instead of just a splash page, I'm going to break it down this way.
Well, let's not forget how fast they were working too.
Oh,
true.
yeah.
They didn't have time.
There was no second thinking. John put those layouts down and bam.
Right.
He went at it.
Okay, so now we have even an android can cry, which is the last page of the story. So this, obviously, you don't go in here for this splash page, which is pretty much a close-up. This is not meant to be for dynamic excitement impact, but being used for emotional impact, right? So is this a good choice here or not?
Well,
can we see the page before it?
Bingo. I was going to say to answer that. Yeah, I don't remember it well enough. Even though like you, Aaron, I'm sure I do have the book, and you'll be surprised when I say it's a 8.0 slabbed.
Ooh.
I don't have a slabbed copy of this. Oh, actually, I lied. I do too. I have a 9.2. So.
You son of a bitch! Always have to.
It's the next issue. It's 56.
Yeah, Andy felt good for a second.
I felt good for a second.
Yeah, I don't have.
Get a screwdriver and crack it open.
Oh my God! Do I need to find the page before, Aaron? You know the website to go to.
No, I do. Actually, you do it. You do it. You've got access to that stuff, man. I'm just I'm easily confused.
Come on, Andy. When you're hosting the show, you can't. You're juggling too many balls.
That's right. You need to come in.
Yeah, and Aaron's not used to juggling a lot of balls.
But I do think this does make another point, though, that this is a splash page for an entirely different reason.
What issue number is this again?
58.
This is 58. So it's the end of the story arc, which is the second issue.
This whole issue is good, by the way. I'm just scrolling through it.
Yeah.
I mean, Buscema kicked ass on this whole issue, though.
He was on fire at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But you know how you guys said his head was a little big and things? I think that was proportionally what they were going for, because look at the waist and look at the physique of this guy. He's not like a
Look at the
normal
hand. I mean, he could
superhero.
palm a watermelon with that hand.
That's
Oh,
a
that
big
hand.
ass hand, yeah.
Well, while Andy's looking, let me take Paul Taylor here from all the way. He's a resident biologist from Canada for $10. Thank you, Paul. Says, I got hooked on the Avengers when I first saw the splash page of Avengers 118, the conclusion of the Avengers Defenders War. Right. That was the first Avengers I ever bought.
Who drew that? At 118?
Well, the Avengers
That's
Defenders War or 118?
Buscema or
118.
Buckler?
I think Bob Brown.
Was that Bob Brown? Really?
Yeah, I think Buscema came back later.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You know how people would do those geeky conversations, like who would win, the Justice League or the Avengers? I thought was always more interesting is the Defenders Avengers. You know what I mean? Like the Defenders team, that's a powerful team, but it's kind of like it's always on the verge of being out of control. Like,
Well, they're
I
not-
always thought,
They're
if
the
you could
non-team. Remember, that's how they build them. Defenders of the non-team.
Yeah, or it's the Hulk, the Submariner, the Silver
Silver
Surfer.
Surfer,
Everybody who couldn't get along with anybody, and then you
Right.
have Strange, who's he's kind of off in the lands too.
What do
You know
you
who
I always
owns-
liked the
you know who
Defenders
owns
team.
this
I always
page,
thought
right?
they were.
Whoa, slow down. Go ahead, Art.
I always liked the Defenders team. I always thought they were very, very powerful. And I always liked that little question mark, like, can they work as a team? You know what I mean? Like they're such big egos and such powerful characters. And I always thought, like, if you could really focus them, they could probably annihilate the Avengers.
What are you gonna say, Andy?
I was saying, you know who owns this original art?
Not me.
I believe it's been
Oh.
years, so
Is it
maybe he
Scott?
sold it, but I
Scott
believe
Williams?
Scott Williams.
Oh yeah, I think I think you're right. 'Cause I think I've seen him have this page.
This actual page here?
Yeah, he
The original
trades
art,
he
yeah.
traded like Jim Lee artwork for all this really like great Barry Smith and John Buscema, all this great stuff. Not
Wow.
that Jim Lee's stuff isn't great, but come on. What do you guys think of
Hey, I
George
pulled the
Klein's
page
ink
up, by
on
the
this?
way.
The setup page.
Yeah, I got it up.
Okay, well, wait. What do you guys think of George Klein's inks on Buscema? I
I
like
like it.
Yeah, I like George Klein.
Yeah. Okay. here we go.
Didn't George Klein also ink Swan in the late '60s?
Oh, you know what? I think you're right.
I'm not
Yeah,
a DC
I
fan.
think he was over at DC.
Who's the red-haired guy? Is that Pym? Is that Hank Pym?
I guess it's
Giant
got to
Man?
be.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know he had red hair.
Well, back then. But real quick, before we get to the whole setup thing, you know what I like about John's art on this? You look at that first panel and the faces and stuff, like especially Hank Pym. He does there's something about that face. It's got grit to it. It's got hardness to it, but it also just looks like a regular dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. I just, like I said,
I love
my favorite
Buscema's
issue.
faces. I love Buscema's faces. Okay, so basically, don't they tell the Vision that, hey, you're one of us now, buddy, you're our pal, you can join us?
Yeah, he says the panel, he goes, we ask merely a man's worth, not the accident of his condition. And then, we even let a Methuselah like Cap join at ease, Bowslinger. And then the Vision goes, excuse me, please. I shall return within a moment. And he goes walking off, and Iron Man's like, funny.
That
For a second
flower
there, I
power
thought it
panel is
detected a
horrible.
trace of sentiment. Huh?
That flower power panel is horrible.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what he was thinking with that outline.
I don't know. Is that
I
like,
thought it was an eyeball, like an iris.
so
But
did I, but you're right. It's a flower or something. I don't know.
flower.
Weird.
John was hanging around with the hippies that day, I guess.
So now flash over to the splash page.
Yeah.
So he walks away so he could be alone and have a moment. So that's
Right. He walks away so he can basically cry because he's choked up. So it's like, oh my God, we just fought this whole
I just got
issue.
accepted, and that even an android can cry. It's powerful. It's melodramatic, But you know what? In the 1960s, you weren't getting that kind of shit from DC. So, I would say, to answer Aaron's question, it works great for its time.
Yes.
Yeah, DC was too wrapped up in the fat thing.
Yeah,
That's right.
I want to see a Fat Vision comic.
The balloon below that they whited out was,
Even
but will they still accept me when they see my real shape? And then you turn the page and it's a splash page of him, fat.
Mhm.
even an android can overeat.
Even an android can gain tons of weight.
Well, I mean, my point for bringing this up was that, again, I want to show different examples of why splash pages are used, and they're not always for, dynamic action. And this is like a big emotional moment that reveals something about the character. And so, and it's an effective use, I think, of a splash page here.
Yeah, I think
It's to sum it up, it's more of like a payoff. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be action or emotion or whatever. It has to be some kind of payoff to whatever you've been building up. So it's kind of a release kind of moment where you're like, oh shit. So you could just open it up sometimes, like you want to change the scenery. You know what I mean? So you want an establishing shot. So you turn the page and it's like, oh, well, now you're in, the jungle. Versus or whatever.
Welcome to Wakanda, and then it's the page of Wakanda. The first
It gives it a nice bookend as well from the first page to the first page. It's not that he's like in super action or anything, but it's a flying shot, whatever. And then it's like last page. Oh shit. But the funny thing would be is if we could actually ask John, and John was like, guys, I actually just kind of miscounted and was like, oh shit, I got one page left. Last page it is. Got to meet that deadline.
But it's would this panel have the same impact if it was just a panel like the last panel and a story, rather than, as Art said, you turn the page and boom, you've got this moment. So
right.
Well, the thing is, it's the payoff for the whole story, though. If you think about the way it starts and the whole thing, I mean, this is like the logical end to this Vision origin story. So he's being accepted. He's a human being. So what's more human than to feel, to cry? Right. So, in like a shorthand storytelling way, especially like old comics, it's like, boom, it has impact. Now after you read this story that the Vision has feelings. He's basically a human being, is what they're trying to establish.
He's Pinocchio. He wants to be human. He wants to be human. And then he's accepted as human here. And then
that stupid fox and that cat take him and sell him to that fat guy and puts him in a cage, makes him perform on stage. And then
here's the question
that makes it with the Scarlet Witch eventually, which proves he really is human. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. I go human for Scarlet Witch.
He's got an android member.
That's right, Aaron. Here's the question, and I don't remember, and maybe one of you guys will. Is this a page turn to this, or were they side by side?
God, that's a good question. I don't know.
Well, if this was the last page, it most likely
guess it was a page turner.
I'm hoping it was.
Yeah,
you would hope so. You would hope. Well, they had so many ads back then. They could have moved it around where they wanted to. So you'd hope they'd been smart enough to have it be a page turn. But okay, now we're going to go into Graham's wheelhouse a little bit with some Batman here. This is Neil Adams, and this is a very different. I love this splash page, but it's very different than what we've been looking at.
I have a feeling I know. I knew it.
Oh yeah,
freaking knew it, dude. This page
is a freaking awesome splash page, but for totally different reasons.
Yeah, it sets the mood. It's freaking creepy. Mm-hmm. I love this page, and I'm not, for basically it's a cape, but it is so.
You don't even get to see Batman front view, but it's so effective still.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, it has that gothic feeling that these early 70s Batman stories had adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love. For some reason, I love the gothic Batman era.
Yeah, for some reason, Batman fits better in like a slight, like you said, gothic or horror kind of backdrop. than a superhero. I really never liked Batman too much as just like a straightforward superhero character. You know, it
I
never really
like
worked.
Batman would go around the world. You know, he was the world's greatest detective, so he would follow leads and stuff to solve cases around the world. Whereas, like modern day Batman, he's basically the defender of Gotham City, and that's it. You know, he doesn't give a shit about anything about Gotham, but Gotham City. And I liked when he would travel around the world. You know,
Yeah, truth, justice, and the human way.
Well, this,
yeah,
I mean,
I saw that.
this to me, I mean, I don't know if we should be categorizing these or what, but this is more a setting atmospheric type splash page where you're setting up something. It's still, I mean, you wouldn't call it dynamic in the traditional sense, but you still have great depth in it with this this tree branch hanging, you know, coming into the foreground and that he's sitting on, and just the gothic, like we were talking about, the atmosphere. I mean, if I opened up the page and I opened up the book and I saw this page, I definitely want to keep reading.
Oh yeah,
But just think about how impractical it is for Batman to climb a tree with that cape on.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of impracticalities.
There's art ruining our suspension.
How do you have a
disbelief.
Batmobile in a major city and not get stuck in traffic?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. You know, if I'm looking at it, and I can be Aaron. I have this issue, but it's not in great shape because I read my books.
Mine is in great shape.
I believe the background
Mine's bigger.
is all pencil.
He did that. He did that on some House of Secrets covers too, where he would pencil the background. You think at first it's craft tint, but it isn't.
No, it's pencil. He did that on a Superman. There's the cover of Superman fighting Superman. I can't remember the story, but they're high up in the air and the background is looking down on like a city street, and all the buildings, everything in the background is just pencil.
Yeah, they might have put a screen over it too, because like with pencil drawings for printing processes back then, you had to put a screen on it and to make it more printable, because it didn't have the nuances that today's printing has. But I think it was probably, you know, the original drawing was probably in pencil. But yeah, it's not dynamic, but more importantly, it's dramatic.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. That's exactly right. Now, do you think anybody else other than Neil Adams this period of time could get away with a splash page like this? Or would everybody said, no, it's got to be, we got to see the character from the front view. We need, you know, and flip it around. But Neil could pretty much do whatever he wanted. I'm just curious if you guys think.
I don't know. So are you saying that, let's say, Irv Novick turned in the exact same thing, and the editor goes, "Yeah, Irv, that's cool, but come on, it's the back. What are you doing, Irv?" I don't know.
Irv could pull this off atmospherically, probably though.
Oh, absolutely, he could.
Yeah. So, but
you know, Irv Novak is the only guy in comic book history to get a pension, who was a freelancer, to get a pension from DC Comics.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Until the day he died?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, he got a pension because the owner of DC Comics really wanted him to come over, and he cut a deal with him.
That's cool.
Wait, come over? Where was he before? He didn't do.
Oh, he worked all over the place.
Oh, so you're talking like when he first started at DC, when they pulled him over, you mean?
This was probably in the 1960s, I believe. When they offered him a pension, something like that.
You know what? I want to go back to something somebody said earlier about, like, would you be able to get away with this or whatever? If it was, I think that, you know, we've all been doing comics quite a long time. There was a level of trust, like editorial. When an editor would hire you for a job, they kind of knew what you could do, and somebody was talking about the time as well that it takes to do these things. So there wasn't a lot of fuss going on. So I'm sure when they hired Neil Adams, they kind of knew that he was going to do something outside the box. Yeah. You know, so it wasn't just this shot, but also the pencils and everything else for an editor to consider. So I'm sure it was just a level of trust, and they went, okay, this is cool. Let's figure out how to print this thing, or let's figure out how to do whatever. And that's the way it used to be. You know, nowadays it's way more micromanaged, where they would go, a back shot, that's not going to fly. redraw it, do whatever, you know. But then I think they trusted people a lot more.
That's true, and it depends. But it still does come down to a lot of times who's turning the work in too, by how much criticism they're going to take. Or
yeah, I agree with that. Because Neil
well,
was
it's good. If it's good,
always late, but they didn't can him. Anybody else is late, you know, they shit can. But Neil was always late because he was taking advertising jobs. You know, that was paying the bills.
And it was good. The work that he turned in was really good. So you know, they would take a certain amount of abuse, you know, to get a Neil Adams story.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what editors did with me a lot. They took a lot of shit from me, but they knew they were going to get good work.
Well, this is still, I mean, it's still one of my favorite Neil Adams splashes. A Batman splash. I just think it's really, really cool.
Great one.
So,
it's great. Yeah.
Speaking of Neil, let's look at one more of Neil's here before we move on to some others. Now, this is an entirely different approach with a more traditional superhero comic.
Oh, I love this one.
This is like one of my favorites.
Yeah,
just love it.
I hate these books.
Oh, I'm not talking about the stories.
Look at Graham.
I thought
Actually,
as much as I like Neil's Batman, I love his run on Green Lantern art wise. So much, and this page is still one. I think I have every reprint they've done of this book and a couple of their originals, one slabbed and one not.
The combination here is your traditional dynamics, right? So your superheroes coming at you. And again, it's not like the first time we've seen Green Lantern, so it's not necessary to draw him in a way that we could recognize everything about his costume. We already know that. But then he's also giving us storytelling elements by putting all the work he did into the backgrounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really nice combination of both those things, because a lot of times you'll see a real dynamic figure but a limited background or something, and Neil kind of went for it here, and it's kind of a shame that so much of it got covered up by the captions and stuff.
But it's neat that the captions follow the tilt of the camera and everything set up on the angle and stuff like that. I mean, this is really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's neat. But Graham, you got me thinking about like just the text or the story. And you know, like there was the one scene that's really heavy-handed where the black guy's lecturing Hal Jordan about
and done stuff for the purple people.
Yeah. The thing is, like, this is where I'm going to criticize Denny O'Neil. You never set it up that Green Lantern was not helping the Earthlings. Like, it opens up with him on Earth. Like, if you were going to set that up, you should really have him always gone, and then this shit happening when he comes back. And really, what did you say? Don't say it, show it. So if they
but I
like that, I think it would have had more impact than less than just some PSA, you know, kind of this, you know, equal opportunity, you know.
So the thing in the defense to that I would say is, if this was an issue 1, I go, oh yeah. But because this is issue 76 and a lot of the previous issues, he was doing outer space stuff, or if he was on Earth, he was fighting monsters or, you know, bad guys and whatnot. If you're a continual reader of the book, I don't think it would be that jarring to go, wait a second, what are you talking about?
Wait a minute. This is the first of the Neil Adams run, right? This is
it is, yeah.
So previously was the John Broome and Gil Kane issues.
I don't know if it was, but it might have still been written by Denny. I can't remember if Denny came on.
But the thing is, Andy, to that point, this was the well-traveled heroes. Like when they packaged it in the trade, like it was like almost like a self-contained, like overarching story, even though there were many issues in it. And I'm just saying, if you set it up more like that, then a lot of the heavy lifting, and then when that moment happens, it won't feel like it's completely out of left field, you know, because it really feels like what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're just going off on this guy because it's personal or whatever. You don't really understand that guy's motivation. So if you were going to do it, like, that's always
what you're saying. Yeah.
No, it was very clearly a, you know, social statement that Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams wanted to make, and so they put it in there. But it was still well drawn.
Hey, Green Arrow beans him with a freaking can.
Well, he's the liberal, right? He's the liberal.
I hated Green Arrow in those books.
Yeah, he was a real jerk.
It's such a heavy-handed thing, you know. It's like, wait a minute. You know, the Green Lantern is the one person on the whole planet that Abin-Sur's ring chose, you know, and he's treated with no respect by a guy who can shoot a bow and arrow. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. You know?
Whose partner ends up on heroin?
Yeah,
the Green Lantern's or the Green Arrow's partner, not the
And I think in that series, doesn't he shoot some guy on a balcony because he gets a glint of light from the guy's gun or something like that?
Oh,
Green Arrow shoots that guy on the balcony. It's like, come on, dude. You know, if you're gonna throw rocks, don't be.
I mean, Green Lantern's supposed to be like Chuck Yeager. You know, like you should be writing him like Chuck Yeager and mixing him Chuck Yeager as a cop. You know, that kind of overarching mentality.
Right.
You know?
Let me take this from Darren Wagner for $5. Thanks, Darren. Says, I suck at scripting splash pages. I usually do an establishing shot of a building. The artists I work with invariably come up with something better. Well, that's kind of our job as the artists.
That's what artists do.
Yep. We're the directors of the film, and we got to be able to sit there and say, this ain't working visually. What can I add to it to make it work better?
Unless you're a writer artist, you know, you got to refer to the artist because he's going to see it more visually than you do.
Yeah.
Somebody had a comment on here. I missed it. It's gone, but basically said that, but Green Arrow had the hottest girlfriend. So, you know, I mean, he's got that going for him, which is kind of nice.
I don't know. Black Canary was pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when Alex Toth drew her.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, you were talking about the lettering being tilted on that splash page.
Yeah.
I'll look at a couple of examples real quick here.
Which usually annoys me, but there it didn't. Oh, God, that's so good.
Yeah,
but that is a great splash page.
But that lettering screwed up because if it was in perspective, it would be so much more effective.
Unless that circle is angled down. You know, like he could sit his ass on it and slide down it.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have steps down. He slides down.
Yeah, maybe that's what Loki is pondering here. Should I?
Well, you know, if you look at the angle,
drunk. Should I slide down this thing? Maybe I should.
Yeah, well, look at the straight lines to the right of the circle below the caption balloon, and they're not really in the right perspective either.
Here, they're off. Yeah, from what's going on here, they're off.
But you know, JB was just eyeing that shit.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I know.
This is a great example of this is from Silver Surfer number 4. And it's like, if you're not going to open with the Silver Surfer in a splash page, you got this incredibly, again, dramatic drawing of Loki just sitting there. I don't think Buscema could draw. Nobody could draw a guy sitting on a throne or a chair so dramatically like Buscema could. It's just incredible.
I know.
You know, it's funny that you put back to back. I don't know if you did this on purpose. The Green Arrow, the Neil Adams Green Arrow, with the Stan Lee Silver Surfer, because one is just the Marvel version of the other. You know, the social platform that was, and both comics were well drawn, but the stories suck.
Oh God. Silver Surfer is so. I went back recently and was reading my Essential Silver Surfer, and I couldn't even get through it.
No, they're terrible.
This is a pretty good issue, but for most of them, it's just he's just wandering around whining all.
Just the first issue starts that way.
Yeah,
I know it
doesn't get good till number 18 when Kirby comes back, and the Surfer goes to the Inhumans place and just tears the shit out of the Inhumans, and he becomes the savage Silver Surfer at the very end, and that's it. Then it ends.
Yeah, it's like this is where we should have started.
Yeah, that should have been issue number 1.
But this is a great splash page, but it would have been better if they had the letterer synced up, kind of like a Steranko thing, right? Where his graphics were always worked in with the drawing, and this just kind of feels like they didn't quite get what, and I've done this before myself, where the letterer screwed it up, and I tried to get some Steranko-esque lettering in perspective with the drawing, and they didn't do it. And I'm just like,
And you know what? Marvel in the day could have, because they had more of a bullpen and they had more of a community of artists that hung out.
Mhm.
So there was less of like farming things out in different states and people not working together. So they could have easily ran this by John, and John could have thrown a grid down real quick for the letterer to do.
You would think.
Oh,
But
come on.
maybe
I
they
think
were just
Artie,
burning through it.
I think Artie Simek was good enough that he could have probably gridded it out. He just, it's kind of like we're saying, you got to get it done. It's
Yeah,
like,
that could be
a
that
grid
this
would take
like
me
him kind of-
longer.
Yeah, this is kind of him half-assing what he knows he should have done, but maybe didn't have time to do.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, take a look at this, which I think is more successful, the same type of thing. We'll go back to Neil Adams here, then we'll get to some Kirby.
I was
But-
going to say we got to have some Kirby splash.
Oh, we got Kirby coming.
Oh,
I love this too.
this was another one. Yeah, man. As a kid, I was like, holy shit.
This something Inhuman. This works a little bit better as it's. I still would have liked to seen it on the same angle as the doc, but
Mhm.
I guess they probably did it for reading purposes. But at least it's part of the water coming down. It seems a little bit more congruent.
Well, do you
but-
think Neil actually drew this, or do you think the letterer?
He may have. He may have. Maybe blocked it. That's a good question. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good question.
This seems
Um,
something like he would have drawn out.
Well, he
I
continues it from the water, so my guess is that he probably meant for that whole thing to be colored as water.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of confused. Now, this is a reprint,
Yes.
so I don't know.
I think the original one does. It is water, I think.
All right, I'm going to look. What issue number is this?
95.
And do you
But-
own it?
Yeah, I love this because, of course, I own it. This is just like, again, taking not necessarily a really dynamic situation with Triton crawling out of the water and making it really dynamic and dramatic looking, with the hand coming forward. And it's like, you could see a modern day artist just having him crawl up on the dock and you're like yawning. But this is like, whoa, he's just walking, coming out of the water. And yet it's so dramatic.
When I worked
So-
with Carlos Pacheco on X-Men, he drew a page like this of one of the characters coming out of the water, and it was definitely, it said tribute to Neil, but it was cool to be able to ink something along this line.
Yeah.
So I found a scan of it. It's still, it's not worth sharing, but it does change. So in the scan I'm looking at, the water is a flat blue. It doesn't have the white in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then where it changes that brown on what I'm looking at, it changes at that exact same point to a yellow that is the same yellow as the balloon with the credits.
Okay.
That's interesting because I'm sure they did it because they thought it would pop more, but I mean, a light blue or a white would have really popped off there too. So it's,
I think it would have popped more if it was
Yeah,
the light blue or white.
Oh yeah.
It would have sold the idea that the lettering was the water.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, interesting. But once again, betrayed by letterers. Oh,
Well,
Marvel-
the other thing that would have helped too on that is the water goes into the S, but then the S doesn't touch any of the other letters, and then the words don't touch either. If they would have all connected somewhat, but whatever.
Yeah, but they had
All
to
right,
go for clarity too.
I want to
Stupid Neil, get it right.
I want to do back-to-back double pagers here that I think are interesting, but for different reasons. Okay, this is Kirby.
Oh yeah,
Oh
baby.
my
Black
God.
Panther.
doing
This
Black
is
Panther.
so awesome.
It is.
God,
Look at that dude with the head. Hatch 22.
oh yeah.
This and this my point here will be better made when we show the next one, which is also a classic double page spread from a different artist. But the depth in this is what I really like. Even though we're at a side view, we normally be a flat view of this. You've got guys in the foreground, guys in the background. This has tremendous depth.
Oh yeah,
and energy.
oh
That's kind of what Kirby did with this because he would open with the splash, then you would turn to a 2-page spread at this period of time.
Yeah.
And most of the 2-page spreads were like this. There was a lot of depth, but they were, kind of flat, but he still got the depth going.
Well, it's interesting. He didn't do this at his first run at Marvel. And then once he went to DC, like I found some Demon ones and some other ones, OMAC with these double-page spreads, which then he took back to Marvel with him, which he wasn't. This is
I
really
don't think
cool.
Stan let him.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's what I was going to say, because when he came back to Marvel during this and Captain America and stuff, he was writing it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and Stan was gone.
So this is, to me, this double-page spreads, the purpose of this is really sort of an immersive, like you're right in the middle of this, right?
Yeah.
You're not watching this, you're in it. And I think that really makes this, and Kirby did that pretty consistently during this period of his career at DC, the early 70s. And then when he jumped back to Marvel in those mid to late 70s, he was doing a lot of this, and it just really cool, immersive, double page spreads.
The guy in the upper part of the page there, with his arms stretched out like that, that's so great. That is such a great figure. Look at how his back leg goes behind him. There's so much depth in that one figure and so much energy coming out of that extended arm. And then you have the guy below him with his hand cutting him off to add more depth. This is just a master at work here.
And the figures all work as like a framing device for the Black Panther. Like it all still brings your eye, like from the villain, that arm comes across from the Hatch 22 over. I mean, it works reverse from the Black Panther over to the villain that's causing whatever it is that's happening. So you read it all the way across like this, and with the yellow unifying, it really does frame in, and then he brings that black around. So it really does feel like, look at here and then carry across, and then that background opens up, and then you see the Hatch 22. This is brilliant. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Well, and how simplistic the coloring was back then, but they made such good color choices, it didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, with everything that's going on, it's still very clear and readable.
Yeah.
You're not confused by it. Yeah. I mean, I love this Black Panther stuff. I loved his Black Panther.
I don't have any of these Black Panther issues, but now I'm kind of feeling like I should get them because these double page spreads are freaking awesome.
Oh, dude, every issue had one. Yeah.
And now it's White Panther, by the way. So
he's a white guy.
Is that did they actually go anti-woke and didn't mean to, or I can't figure out what they're doing with that, but
I'm sure they'll have the Black Panther kick the White Panther's butt to regain his kingdom.
All right. So with that in mind, now let's take a look at this classic double page spread, which is very different. Same type of thing, but done very differently.
Steranko.
Oh.
This is iconic, and yet look how far we are from the action. We're sort of like observing. We're not involved in it. We're kind of hiding behind a gravestone watching this play out. And I'm not saying it's not effective, because this is obviously a great piece, but very different than what Kirby did, right?
Yeah, it's not as powerful as Kirby's.
No, you know what's weird? Like that Kirby one, even though there weren't, if I remember right, I don't think there were sound effects on it, even though we just looked at it. No. But it was loud, right?
Yeah.
It was loud. This is it's action, but it's so quiet.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I think Steranko tried to, he was kind of by the restraints of like realism. So like Kirby never really had those qualms, because if you really wanted to force this perspective, you could do it very easily. There's a foreground, like that guy taking the Hydra agent taking Fury out of the ground. You could have made that massive, like Kirby would have made it huge. And then that headstone and those guys shooting from, behind it. I mean, you could have made that the whole page, and then all of a sudden you'd have this huge, massive kind of depth going on. instead of kind of the way it is now, where they don't really change. They don't vary size that much from the Captain America.
It's nicely drawn, but it seems staged, whereas Kirby's looks like kinetic energy.
That's a very good point. That's a good way to describe it. It does look staged, and it's more illustrative in the sense that, and you have these, he was waxing poetic. Steranko, who wrote this? Was this Kirby or Steranko?
This was,
no,
not Kirby,
Steranko,
excuse
right?
me. Stan Lee or Steranko wrote the.
What issue number is it?
113.
113. 15, 13?
It's 113. Stan wrote the first one, 110 and 111.
I don't know.
I don't know if he wrote 113. Marcus will tell us any minute now.
Yeah, but he's kind of like got these long speech and, the waxing poetic. And of course, this goes right into that iconic splash page, which I have here. I don't know if we're going to have time to get to or not, because I have some other stuff to look at.
So the question is the splash page right after this? I don't remember.
Yes.
So
Isn't
maybe,
I think it's the next page. Maybe I'm wrong.
He chose this on purpose because you do turn to that splash page and it is pretty much like pow, right? So if you had that amount in this and then you turn to that splash, it could kill some of the emphasis from that splash.
It's the 1-2 punch.
It's an interesting point because I looked at several of Steranko's double page spreads, and this is the least dynamic out of any of them. They're always had like a huge Captain America figure or Nick Fury or something in them, and this one is just sort of pulled back, and that's an interesting conversation and Jim, maybe I should ask Jim that.
Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if he did it on purpose so that splash page just had more emphasis and punch when you turn to it.
But how do you ask that of Steranko without insulting him, going, how come that double page spread of Captain America is so complacent and not dynamic? Did you do that because you wanted to set up this?
Why isn't it as good as Kirby's?
Can you imagine? He'd lose his mind probably.
Marcus said Steranko plot, Lee dialogue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That explains why it's so wordy. Okay, now here's another Kirby one.
Wait, back up. The wording in that splash page is just beautiful. I mean,
it is.
When he's got them held up like this, and he says,
"Oh yeah,
destroy an ideal. How can you destroy? You can destroy a man, but how can you destroy an ideal? How can you destroy the indomitable Captain America?" That was like that used to give me chills when I would read that. It was so great. Oh, there it is.
Yep. Yeah,
the incomparable Captain America. Yeah.
Yep.
So great.
That's almost Frazetta-like, isn't it? Like a Conan piece in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. This issue is like my favorite Steranko issue. This particular issue of Captain America, but that 3-part story he did was fantastic. His best stuff. But the
issue after this is my favorite. It's Cap 114 by Romita.
Yeah, that's John Romita, right?
Romita, right?
Yeah. And there's that, because the world thinks they think Cap or Sharon thinks that Cap is dead. So she goes on this suicide mission and, she's beating up these guys, and then they release the walking stiletto, this robot thing that's coming to kill her. And she thinks it's all over. And then the shield comes from off panel and smashes into the robot. And she turns, it's a close up, the beautiful Romita face. She goes, it can't be, but it is. And it's like Captain America lives. And then Cap and Bucky or Rick are running towards you, and Romita has just forced perspective shot of them running towards you, and Cap is reaching over like this as the shield is zipping back into his hand. Yeah. I tried to draw that thing 1,000,000 times, and that perspective is so fucking great that it was so I could never get it right. It's like trying to copy it. It's like, oh, that's such a great book. I love that.
And you know what? That issue is made by Scout Emma.
Yeah, I know.
I cracked that open, but I got like a super high near mint copy of that, and I don't want to damage it. All right, so okay, I want to jump back to Kirby here real quick. We've got a few minutes here, then we'll wrap up. But no, this is entirely different. This is more of a splash page. I think Kirby designed to give us a setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's still really dynamic.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Oh, it's Devil
Dinosaur. Yeah, little Moon Boy is captured there in the. But I thought it was interesting. There's several of these. Like there's some from the Eternals and stuff where he'd do a double page spread of just this incredible big ship or things like that, where he was using the splash page to storytell, to set up a scene. like, it's one thing. You wouldn't do this if you were in, somebody's dining room. You know what I mean? This has to be this giant, whatever this aliens are collecting animals or whatever they're doing, this like galactic Noah's Ark thing. And so you need this double page spread to sort of not only set the scene, but also to establish the size and the scale of the thing. And he did that a lot.
Say there's a scope to it, and an epic, epic and scope.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say though, the one thing that kind of drives me crazy is that red machine thing in the background that's real tall and vertical.
Yeah.
It's lined up right with that dude below him. And it just kind of, and it's almost in the center. So if there's staples, or if it's not on a one that's stapled, ugh.
I like that the guys don't have hands, but yet they're doing things that you would do with hands.
That's right.
It was like some kind of magnetic kind of thing going on. This is brilliant. You know what? I was just thinking, okay, Hollywood was in love with Mobius, and rightly so. He was a great visionary. But holy shit. I mean, if special effects were the way they are now in Kirby's time, he would have been designing every sci-fi movie out. I mean, as a designer, how do you not take inspiration from this image? This is absolutely fantastic.
His tech or his design was so like uniquely his own. You know what I mean? It's like no one could come up with this stuff except him.
No, I've said this about Ditko too. These two guys created visual languages.
Yeah.
Kirby with his tech and Ditko with his astral plane stuff. These dimensions that he would draw for Doctor Strange. That people still copy to this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, case in point, the Kirby Crackle. Everybody uses the Kirby Crackle.
Yep. There it is, right there. Little Kirby Crackle up there. A little energy.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at one more. Now, I'll just lead you guys into it. I don't think this is very successful, but you tell me. Wally Wood.
Yeah. I mean, you read the title, Dr. Doom, Master of Menace. Unto you is born the Doomsman. And you read that, like, just say it without looking at it. And you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And then you're like, oh, it's so sedate.
Yeah. It's his camera angle. It's just a straight on shot. There's no dynamism to it. It's nicely lit, and nicely, drawn but the angles are just, is what kills this thing.
This is a splash.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Art. No, go ahead.
Do you think if just to use exactly what's here, if Doom was just bigger in the composition, like if he took up like 2/3 of the page instead of like the smaller figure, like it's a big figure, and you still have food and stuff in the background, I think it would be a little bit more successful just based on the same drawing. But you're right, Graham. I mean, the angle and all that stuff would have helped out.
You could tilt the camera, just tilt this to the right a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost just do that and then take that dude in the foreground and blow him up so you're really like on his shoulder looking past him. And that would just make it more exciting without even changing Doom.
Well, you know what Kirby would have done here maybe is like what he did in some of those Fantastic Fours in the like 82, somewhere in that time frame, is he would put like if you read the dialogue, you don't need all that background stuff. But if you had like a close up of Doom's face as he's yelling this shit to you, with maybe the moon in the background, like a 3/4 shot of Doom's face and his upper shoulders, like leaning into the reader, saying, so once more the Americans,
Yeah, right.
That would have been really powerful. It's like, that's a page turner. He's like soliloquying to, these people in the dark here. Like, who gives a shit? Like, oh, the old man's talking again. Who cares?
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't look that menacing. Another
No.
a low angle shot of this, would have been way more effective. Closer and a low angle shot also would have worked. But you don't. That's the interesting thing about Wood is that you didn't really get dynamics from Wood. You got really nice illustration.
Right. I was going to say, and this, I think you guys will agree. I love Wally Wood stuff, but I never Thunder Agents. I don't look at any of it and go, "Oh my God, it's so dramatic. It's so in your face." It's drawn really well, but it's almost like, DC.
It's funny. Wood's most dynamic stuff is his Mad magazine stuff.
Yes.
And those layouts were done by Harvey Kurtzman.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So basically what we've decided on this show is that Wood sucks. No.
Yeah. I would never say that.
No,
I would just say he's not dynamic.
No, and that's why he was so good as an inker at Marvel over guys that were dynamic, because he made the drawing better, but then it was also still really dynamic.
Well, Wood was like, he was like Kevin Nolan is now. Because you look at this, and if this is what Wood's full pencils look like, I know he inked it himself, but let's say that this is what his full pencils look like, Kevin probably wouldn't change a damn thing. It would look just like this, except with Kevin's ink line. Because you look at the lighting and stuff. Kevin's a big fan of Wood, and you can see it. Well,
there's one thing I don't understand. Okay, so beyond that moon crater planetoid, there are people with screens, right? Those are more the shadowy people.
Oh yeah,
so,
they're in the background. Yeah.
So that planetoid or whatever it is, that's in the room with them. Like,
no, is that a reflection? Maybe.
I think he's using like an expressionistic indication of the moon there.
Okay, so it's not really supposed to be there in the room with them.
No, it's because that's what he's talking about. Like the cosmic dust that's going there. That's sort of, over by those guys by the screen. I think that's like maybe they would have done that as a knockout. Today. Drop back the opacity on that or something like that to make it feel like it's not really there in the room.
Yeah, but the thing is, if that moon thing wasn't there, this thing would suck out loud as is. Like,
you're right. It's like
that moon is the most interesting thing in this composition.
You got that.
He loves to draw that. He loves to draw the moons and space and stuff. It's like, all right, these guys in a control room are kind of boring. I'm going to put one of my moons in.
Yeah.
Well, I thought at first he was on like a spaceship or something. And they were just looking out the massive.
That's what I thought.
Window or something. But then I'm looking like there's shadowy people on the other side of that planet.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I didn't notice that either at first.
What's
I was
going
thinking
on here?
Well, you know what would answer the question? Seeing the next page.
Well, do you have it?
What is it? What book is this?
Is it a projection? Oh, I thought you already.
This is Amazing Adventures. No, Astonishing Tales. Excuse me. It was Astonishing Tales. Might be number 1. I'm not sure. Marcus?
Well, give me a second.
Marcus, you're needed.
It might be 480. 48 maybe? 80?
It wouldn't have been that late in the run. Because Wood did the early issues of Astonishing Tales with the Doom, because it was like a split Kazar and Dr. Doom. Like
it might be number 1. Hold on, let me see. Because Kazar and Doom are in it. Oh yeah, it is number 1.
Okay. Wally did his own coloring, right? Is that because I only see 3 credits and then the letter?
He may have.
Oh, it doesn't really help. Here, I'll share my screen. We'll start with the first page. So
Andy knew.
All right, here we go.
Comics.
And you can see because this looks like it was scanned from the coloring, a little different. But so it doesn't really help because basically, so we start here and then it just goes into like VO, basically voiceover stuff where he's just talking about shit. And then you get a close up of him. So you're still like, okay. And then when we finally see him again, you're just like, he's in his castle. So yeah, it must have just been a design motif.
Yeah.
Well, look, none of
looks
this
so
is
tiny.
dynamic. The closest
No.
thing to dynamic is that last panel where we kind of get that creature in the foreground there.
Yeah, no, it's
But
like you
look
said,
at that
it's
face.
drawn really well. The lighting is real nice.
Mhm.
Well, it's like Hal
An old
Foster.
EC,
Hal
an EC
Foster wasn't dynamic.
Yeah, it's true. It's like an old EC sci-fi comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, with lots of type too.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
I mean,
It
that
looks like an EC.
the
Mhm.
issue of Daredevil where Wood drew with him fighting Namor.
Yeah.
There were a couple, shots
Well,
in
he
it that you're
wrote
like,
that one too.
yeah,
Look at Wally. Go back to that first panel on that, like that throne right there. It's like he was not interested in drawing that thing at all.
No.
Oh, yeah. Looks like a 60s chair or something from his
little baby
apartment.
throne.
Like out that arch, the cities or the castles out there. It's all beautifully rendered and everything, and then there's just that
This
chair.
little tiny chair. Look at that chick's face with the shadow right there.
Ah,
That's what I'm saying. He
That's
he worked up that lighting and stuff. But then, like, look at the middle panel where the dude's punching the one guy. I mean, that is a Wally Wood punch right there, and the
Yep.
way the guy's flying back.
Yep.
That's that's
He's not flying back. He's just sort of leaning back.
Yeah, he's just like, ow,
Don't hit me. That
I
hurts.
tripped.
kind of dodging the punch.
Yeah.
A lot of panels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny when you see a Doctor Doom story, you want Doom to be larger than life. You want him to dominate the visuals of the story, and he doesn't really here. I mean, I don't mean to be sitting here criticizing
wrote
Wood
this?
because I love Wood.
Who wrote this?
The Roy Thomas.
Probably
I don't
Roy.
remember. Aaron, look at your splash page on your screen. I don't know if I can back.
Well, yeah, Roy Thomas wrote it.
Yeah.
There's a little mummy guy there. Everything is like pulled back so you could. I mean, his storytelling's excellent. I mean, you always know what's going on and where people are at, but you never get any real drama.
This
from
is Jim
camera.
Shooter's dream right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a wet dream.
It's weird because the power of Kazar is actually more dynamic than any of the panels we've seen.
Oh, wait.
Look
We
at that.
gotta see this Kazar.
That's right.
great.
Let's go.
Look at this. Now already that here look exactly what I talked about. Kirby
I know. Look at that.
face up big. That could have been Doom's face
Yep.
talking at you.
Yep.
Craven the Hunter going after our fair-haired boy in the jungle.
That's right.
Look at that. 6 panels. Everything great.
Man, I love the way Kirby does wrinkles and stuff and clothing.
Look at those mammoths. That's good. He's got Kazar in the foreground there, and the guy's charging at him.
Yeah. Zabu, go get him.
I used to love like Kirby's teeth, like when they do that. They're just all like there's no definition between the teeth. They're all just like this perfect white shape.
Oh yeah.
Or if they were monster teeth, they were like stones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they like chiclets, big old
Yeah,
chiclets.
like pebbles in their mouths. I do that on my monsters in Monster Island. I put like those stone teeth in because they're fun to
Yeah.
draw.
It's the language.
Yep. Yeah, I mean this is just great.
Yeah. This is so much more visually interesting.
Mhm.
I mean, that's 7 panels.
Look at the guard. Wait, scroll back a little bit, Andy. Okay, that top panel. Look at the guard running or whatever he is running towards us.
Oh yeah.
Look at the dynamic drawing of the
Mhm.
action of him.
Yep. I like that second panel of Kazar is extremely dramatic.
Yeah.
With his hair falling down, he's looking down. He's got that shadow on him, and
Yeah, and he's using the 1/3 rule too. So it draws your eye right over to him.
mhm.
Yeah, no, this stuff is I don't have this issue. I might have to get it. This is
These
cool.
are good. And Barry Smith did a couple issues of I think Kazar, like in Astonishing Tales 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, something like that. Barry Smith did Kazar, which is really interesting because it's right around, this was 71, I think. So it's been right post Conan or just about the same time as Conan or just before Conan or just after Conan or something. But it's interesting.
Get that foot up in Craven's face.
Yeah, I know. Look at that, like punch, and then the guy and Craven flying towards.
Now that's
us.
flying back.
Yeah, that's flying back. Yeah. Lifts him up over his head. Oh.
Yeah, and look at the angle on it too.
And just look at it. It's all 6 panels, but it's so dramatic.
Yeah. Well, their stance where they're fighting in panel 5 there, where they're go back up a second.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, that one right there where Craven and them just before he lifts him over his head. Look at their stances. You know, Craven is like, you just feel like he's like putting everything he's got into it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. If you think about like a fight, this is like the fight. Like no one's. I never knew these two characters fought.
No, neither did I.
It's the perfect. If you think about it, it's the perfect match. You know, for a bout.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is great stuff.
Yeah, I've never seen this story. This is great.
No, I've seen. It's funny because I've seen the Doom story in a reprint.
Yeah, I've seen the Doom story, and I never read it. I was unimpressed by it.
Yeah,
they just throw them over.
I want to read this Kazar story.
I know. They meet again. Dun, dun,
you know, I've read a lot of Kazar stories. This is already the best take on Kazar I've ever seen.
Yeah. This is great.
Buscema did some stuff in Savage Tales that was cool.
Yeah, he did. And there's one story that Neil Adams for Krusty Bunkers Inc. that was.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. Look at that boring splash page.
Yeah. Okay, we're falling asleep again.
Like you couldn't. I mean, look how much room there is to make Doom so big in the foreground.
Yeah.
Just maybe have him like leaning over like this, you know, and you know, get some twist into his body.
I know it's
something.
Just so just flat and poor Wally. He was only really at home when he was drawing pornography, I guess.
That's right. All right, let's get down to the Kirby part. I'm gonna bust through this. Look at that. Oh, so well drawn. But oh yeah, I've seen this one before.
Yeah, that one I've seen.
I love that.
Frenzy on the 40th floor.
That's a little goofy. I mean, Kazar's head looks gigantic there.
He's got nice pants on.
If his head was shaved, you wouldn't say that. His hair's real poofy.
Yeah, he's got that.
70s. He's got the poof.
You know, he's having a good hair day.
That's right.
I like his stylish pants. William Noblin for $9.99. Thank you, William. He says, I haven't seen many professional shows as of late. I really appreciate all of your insights and critiques. God bless. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
this is 1970, straight up.
Yeah, that's pre-Conan.
But see, growing up, I loved the way Kirby did anatomy. I just love that.
Oh yeah,
how stylized it is.
Look at the hair on that on the gray-haired guy in the foreground. That's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it's nicely inked too.
Before we close this up, zip way ahead to the Barry Smith issues. I'm curious to see what they look like.
Oh, what issue numbers do you remember? Or I'll just go to number 3.
I think 5.
All right, hold on. I just want to see if there's anything.
Oh,
this is, you know,
this is good again. He's going.
He tracked Craven down to New York, man. He wasn't messing around.
Yeah. You think you had it hard with Spider-Man? You haven't met Zabu.
That's right.
Look at that guy.
Yeah.
I love Kirby villains and monsters. So great.
All right, let's see if we start with another dump. Okay.
Poor Wally.
All right, hold on. Let's get down to
poor Wally.
He wasn't into it. You could tell.
Oh, this is Barry number 3.
Barry Smith right there. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
See, he's not quite. He's like out of his Kirby stage, but not quite fully developed as Barry Smith yet. So this is interesting stuff.
So wait, this is 1970. So this is the same time as Conan.
Conan, yeah, Conan came
71 was Conan, wasn't it?
Well, it was a 15 center. So dang it, I think it was 1970 because it was the same year. It was the same year as Green Arrow, Green Lantern, 76, which I think was also 1970.
Yeah.
So this had to have been. It couldn't have been post Conan. It had to have been right before it, or maybe right in the middle of it. Although I don't know why he would have taken on this while he was working on Conan.
Right. Well, this also said December 70 and then Indicia. So is the Indicia, when it says December, is that same as the cover? which means it came out in September.
Yeah, it would have been September, or like 3 to 4 months before December.
I don't know. I don't know what month Conan came out in 1970.
I'm
So
checking right now.
Yeah. So I'm looking.
See, to me, this looks better than that first issue of Conan, though.
Who inked the first issue? Was it Sal?
Sal.
This is Granger inked this.
Yeah, Granger inked this.
October 1970 was the first issue of Conan.
This is hard for me to look at because I know where Barry Smith is later in his career, and this
Where he went.
like I guess we all have to start somewhere. But I'm like, oh my god.
Well, it's interesting though to look and see how he's kind of transitioning from his Kirby influences to kind of finding himself, though.
Look at that splash page, guys.
That's the best one he's done yet. It's still flat, you know. Give me a little bit of an angle.
They're all at the same camera angle. It's straight on.
Just straight on, nothing like really big in the fore. I mean, you've got all this rubble. You could have tilted it, put some rubble.
Yeah. Or done what Gil Kane does and use the rubble and use the rubble as perspective to draw your eye into the character or the point of reference you want them to see.
Yeah.
Do you think Wally Wood was just a very boring guy in real life too? He just kind of talked all monochromatic. It's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
It's too bad he's not here that we could critique his career for him and help him out.
And his personality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see how Barry started this next one, and then we'll stop sharing. The Sun God. Even that's,
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat looking.
You got depth going on.
Yeah, he's getting there, but this had to have been done right before Conan. It had to have been.
This is the same time that he did the Doctor Strange stuff too.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
yeah. Because his first couple issues, he did that X-Men 53 or whatever, and that was very Kirby-esque. But then he did like an issue of Avengers, like right in. God, what was
you're talking about? He did 3 issues. Are you talking Avengers around the 100?
No. Because that was good Barry Smith at issue 100.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, God.
It was it 70 something, maybe. It was like, that issue where they're in the house and like 3 store and Giant Man's hand is coming up, or Goliath's hand's coming up like this, and Iron Man's getting out of the way. And I think it's the first appearance of mention of adamantium is in that issue, but it's like, yeah, it might have been
exactly which one you're talking about. I can't remember the number.
But look at that classic Barry Smith face right up there on the top. I mean, so he was getting there.
That's why I don't know, because I didn't think the first issue of Conan looked this good.
It could be the fact that Granger inked it.
Yeah. He might have brought a little bit more of what Barry was going for. Who knows what?
Or corrected things.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah. Yeah, this actually does look better than that first issue of Conan.
Yeah. Well, it took Barry Smith a while. He was probably what?
2 years.
Yeah, but it was like, what issue would he really starting coming around? Was it issue 5, 6, somewhere in that neighborhood where it's really started to get cool? It took him a few issues.
Yeah, where he was more consistent in how he drew, even though he was still drawing like Kirby and his Kirby stylization type stuff. But it wasn't until like issue 23 where he
just blew up.
Just started, to really create a new look, and then Red Nails and forget about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm skipping forward and I'm looking at Barry now contemporary because I can't look at this stuff. It's like,
look at Art's gonna cry. You made Art cry.
I do. I'm going to go with Graham and say that the inker had a lot to do in this stuff.
Well, yeah, because Barry, when he inks himself, it's so stylistic. Like every line has.
Well, not at this time period, though.
No. I'm saying later.
Oh, yeah.
The inker kind of, might be a reason why he doesn't look as good. And I'm saying, yeah, because I mean, when Barry inks himself, every line has a purpose and movement, and absolutely fantastic. He's one of my favorite inkers.
Yeah, I have that Red Nails book of the scan from the original artwork that It's friggin' amazing.
You said you do have that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I wish they would do a
even
small version
larger.
of that.
It's even larger than the artist edition stuff.
You know, we could take an artist for one of these shows and just like start from someone that's really like shown growth and change throughout his career and just kind of break it down as they go along. It'd be really interesting. Something like Barry Smith or even Michael Golden would be
No,
a
I
guy.
mean, we can't do you. I just got Sludge number 12 because you drew Prime in it. And I'm like, man, this looks just like Wraith of God. Except it's Sludge.
So he always was good. Always.
That's right.
That's
even
what
when
I'm
I
saying.
sucked, even when I was sucked, that was good.
I did just get that over the weekend now, just because Prime's in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was I think I inked that, didn't I? Or something.
No, Gary did.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can't remember. But it was everything was falling apart at that point, and that was like the last issue of Sludge, and I just kind of did whatever I wanted. So
I liked it. I like Prime. So,
all right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Professionals. That was some wonderful insights onto our splash pages and stuff. I want to alert everybody to know that if you check in the description of this video, you'll find links to everybody's campaign, even the people that didn't show up today, Billy, and so go there real quick. And of course, I want to take a moment since I'm hosting to plug my book, since I guess I feel awkward, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I wouldn't.
You should
I'll
play
it
it
for you.
That's how we have it designed.
That's right. So it's Wraith of God 3 Fear Hollow, where the Wraith and Esther they go against the Headless Horseman. I'm on page just finishing up 43.
Nice.
So out of 64 pages, so we're getting close to that big final scene. That's going to be a lot of fun. You got 4 cover options here, and of course you'll find a link in the description of this video that will take you to this campaign along with my fellow professionals, all their campaigns. Andy's early sign up for Lilith, of course, Graham's Escape from Monster Island, which I put the Indiegogo one on there, but he's also on Kickstarter. And then, of course, Art's wonderful. If you haven't seen the work that Art's doing on Black and White, you're really missing out. Some beautiful stuff. And then, of course, Billy's She Gatecrasher is also in there. So give us a look, you guys. Support your local professional, and we greatly appreciate it.
We would indeed.
Yes. Thank you. And thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. This is always a pleasure every week, not only hanging out with these 5 guys, but also with you guys as well. So, and what, next week, Andy? Is it you?
Next week, this guy back from LA
to report on the burnings. So
that's right.
Anyway,
hey, bring back one of those Soros bricks.
That's right.
As a
have them sign it. It'll be a collector's item.
All right. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate the super chats and your participation. You make the show. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week
on Independent Comics
on the Professional.